This is the Run Recap.
It was absolutely the right but oh my god, that's so funny. Shack Attack.
We might want to cut all that out.
Yeah, probably. How many days have you been up to the mountain so far?
Oh, I'm not counting, but I'm pretty sure I'm at 12.
Wow, is there snow?
Not really.
No, that's what it looked like. You posted that cool video of your what do you call that? The rail, the
pole jam.
the rail, the pole jam, the 180 off the pole jam. Oh,
Yeah.
that's so sick.
Is that so good?
That's
I've
so
been
much
wanting.
fun.
Well, and I struggle with like my back ones. I've done thousands of them at this point, but
Right.
off a regular jump, it is not a trick I've got down at all. And trying to land switch on a man-made landing is really hard for me. So it's like getting that weight downhill and matching when I'm switch is really difficult. And then especially
Do you end up just slipping off your nose?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I land way too back on my switch tail, right? Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And then especially doing the backside ones because you land blind. So then I don't know how to match the angle, so that gets even harder too.
Yeah.
So anyway, but it's been something I've been wanting. Like I need to get that down. I need to do, and I want that trick real bad off bigger and bigger things. And so yesterday I was and so it's been in my head. I've just been like thinking there are two tricks this year that I want to get. That one, and both I was not sure I would get there, but I want that late 180 so I can jump off blind, looking backwards, do something in the air, then rotate, then land. And meaning either a grab or like last year when I was jumping over the tree, we had the tree took off on one spot and then you had a branch here, so take off. And then last year is in my head of like go off, tail tap it, then backside 180 and land.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so it's been in my head all summer. It was this like missed opportunity. Like I had slushy days. I could have done it. It would have been fine, And so anyway, so this year it's like, that's one of them that I want to get this down all over the place. I'm just and I've got the opportunity now where they're building the park teeny because there's no snow. So anyway, so it's not a bad time to try that stuff.
It's perfect.
It's all really little. And the park is so fun right now. It is. I had some of the most fun snowboarding yesterday I've had in a long time. And it's just park lap. There's nowhere else to go. There's nothing else to do. But the park is dialed and small. So it's just this cool little stuff everywhere. And anyway, so is that one. The other one, though, is getting a tame dog off a feature. So that's a front flip over the nose.
What's it called?
A tame dog.
A tame dog with an M?
So yeah, tame dog is when you do a front flip straight over the nose. So there's no, so you're not rotating with your body, you're rotating sideways, right over.
Gotcha.
And then, and a wildcat's the reverse. That's when you go straight over your tail. Closer to what you do, but you rotate halfway through a little bit.
Yeah, I twist a little bit. With the tame dog, you said you want to do over a feature?
So I want to over feature. More than that, I want to jump off and I want to hit my tail really hard on a feature, then front flip.
Oh, yeah.
So right now, there's a takeoff and there's a mushroom in the middle, like a metal mushroom, and then the landing. And I just didn't have the guts yesterday to add that one into. I should have, because I was just feeling the flow and everything was all there and everything. But I want to pop up and maybe it might come. If it's slushy tomorrow, I'm going to at least try one. So take off
for sure.
And then hit the tail really hard on the mushroom. And then you grab underneath your hamstrings as you rotate. So you throw your front arm real hard, grab underneath your hamstrings to get tight, and just roll forward.
Yep.
And hope for the best.
Makes sense.
So, but if it's slushy, it's a pretty low risk thing. I just get, me, I've just always been scared going over my head.
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
It's telling me that we're not recording for some reason. But
I see the countdown on my end. It say it's recording.
Yeah. When I try to record, it doesn't. Okay. All right. Well, I'm recording in two places.
Okay.
So as long as you're recording, I should be fine. Okay.
I didn't push a record button, but I do see the red thing with numbers.
Yep. I pushed a record button. So if we're not recording, that's okay because my vocals are at least recording on my end.
Got it.
Okay, scrap all that. Yeah, that's one of the tricks, especially with the tail tap going into it. Sounds like so much fun.
And I think you got to bonk the tail hard to get that forward momentum. So that's the goal, is like not
Yeah.
jump too high. I need to hammer that thing into the feature
Yeah,
and
you'd
then go.
have to.
But again, I
Man.
think if it's a slushy day, it is actually pretty low risk. Worst case, I roll
Hmm.
over and I'm laying there on the ground.
Well,
But
and you land on your back a little bit, like because you're going to be all kind of hunched in and grabbing your hamstrings, you're not going over your head as much as you're going over like your shoulders,
yeah. And so if you come up
right?
shy, I'll roll across my shoulders. If I go a little further than that and I go up shy, well, I'll land on my side, my board will hit and I'll stop, right? But it's not
Right.
like a backflip where if you catch your nose, you've now stopped rotation. And like I know guys that have broken their femur by under rotating a backflip, because that
Yeah.
nose
I, d-
caught while they were hucking hard.
I did that. I don't remember how. Man, my gauge of time is so off.
I
Like
know.
I have no idea when things happened. A couple years ago, 3 or 7, I was at Stevens, and they have back then they've changed the jump layout in the past couple years, but they've had you go up to the train park and you'd have these like 4 or 5 roller kickers that are like at Mount Spokane the last jump at in the main park, not when you go down towards the backside, but the last jump before that.
Yeah.
It's about the starting one is that big.
Yeah. So it's real tall.
So
It's only about a 30-footer, but real tall and real poppy.
yeah, so it's that one and then progressively 5 feet for every next one.
Sure.
But they're built so well that it's fine. Like you don't even think about it. As
Yeah.
long as you clear the gap on the first one, you're set up for all the others.
It was about 8
And
years ago I rolled through that.
yeah, that's probably when it was.
Yeah,
You
right.
know, 2 or 8 years ago.
Right, 2 or 8 years.
And I haven't been snowboarding a ton, but enough. And I'd flipped a couple, but man, I caught my, I don't know why, I don't remember it very well, if I wasn't coming up very fast or if I thought I had more time or something, but man, I caught my nose coming back in. So I
Oof.
rotated and was a little bit shy, caught my nose and just bam to face plant. And that one, not a bad injury, but man, that's such a sucky feeling.
Well, and the potential for injury with that hit, again, because your whole body's moving one way and now everything's moving the opposite way and
Yeah.
pretty harshly. Like that is the potential for
Yeah.
injury, and that's pretty high.
Yeah, yeah, but I haven't had very many not injuries. I haven't missed very many backflips over the years. Like that one, and I think maybe like 1 or 2 others intentional backflips. I've missed a couple accidental backflips.
You didn't miss your first one.
Well, I caught my board a little bit
The board
before
hit
I
first. You didn't miss it.
slipped out and smacked my head. Man, speaking of head injuries, that's the one where I don't remember. I don't know how long I was laying there for. I don't think it was all that long, but I remember waking up
Yeah.
and scrambling to get off the mountain as fast as I could because I was worried ski patrol was going to come or someone was going to land on top of me or something.
Right.
But I remember just like jerking up. I'm like, oh God, get off! Like get
Well,
off the mountain or get
In the
off the
setup, here, I'll go ahead and give my memory of what happened.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
first of all, icy day. And what was there, like our 4th year snowboarding? 3rd, 4th,
Yeah,
something
no.
like that?
No, it was number 11 times up.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It was
Was
in
I
the
still
first year.
skiing back then? I must have still been
Yeah.
skiing. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and Luke was up with us that day too.
I think so.
Yeah, because I think he kind of did the same thing.
Yeah, actually, I don't know if he was there or not. I don't remember. He
Pretty
might have been.
sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyway, icy day, we don't know what we're doing, and all we knew is like we love hitting jumps, so we just hit jumps no matter what. It was a dumb day
Yeah.
to hit jumps, and
Yeah,
if
it
we were
was.
up there now on that same day, we wouldn't go anywhere near the park. Like, what's the point
Yeah.
of doing that? Like, we're just gonna
No.
go get hurt doing little things,
Yeah.
And but it was an icy day, and we were just stoked that we get to hit jumps, and it's not concrete when you land. And
Right.
ice is a little better than concrete, At least just slide and you
Yeah.
don't lose skin,
Yeah.
But yeah, so we went up, and we hadn't really seen anyone hit the jump at that point.
No, we had.
No, I think that was after you.
No.
Was that before?
I know what you're talking about. It was before because that's
Okay.
why I was scrambling to get up. But also,
And we still
seen
hit it.
we'd seen other kids hit. So here's the problem. So here's what I remember, and you can interrupt me. We were going up the lift, and we saw the skier take this jump. Now this is before Silver knew how to make their jumps, right? And so it was a big hill with a cat track in the middle, and they made the jump a little bit before the cat track, and so you had to clear a tiny bit of cat track.
Clear was probably only like 15 feet or something.
Right. No,
but the
barely
landing,
anything.
But I think the landing was like 50.
Huge.
It was a massive landing.
It was a hill. It was just the end of the hill.
Just the rest of the mountain. Yeah.
And so we saw this skier, we're on the lift, saw the skier just launch it and clear the entire hill and land on the flat and go splat.
It had to have been
move.
60-foot drop.
Had to have been.
Had been a 60-foot drop. And he didn't flat.
And he didn't slide. That's what was crazy to me, is that he hit, splat, and didn't move at all. There's no like hit and then you slide down the rest or any momentum. It was just bam.
He dropped
done.
so far that his forward motion had stopped.
Exactly.
Because he was falling for so long.
And then he didn't move the entire time we were on the lift.
Then we took a run around, didn't go through the park, went back up the lift, and he's still there. And ski patrol finally got. Yeah, so this was like probably easily 30 minutes later. We're going up the lift. Ski patrol finally got to him. He's still laying in the exact same position as when we saw him the first time. Like, who knows what happened to him. Then, after seeing all that, we're like, hey, let's go hit that jump. You know, because that guy's
an
probably
in-between,
an idiot.
though.
Okay, what's the in-between?
There's an in-between, but also, I think he died.
I don't remember the helicopter coming up. Maybe they don't.
I don't have any evidence to the contrary.
There's no way to know that, he never moved.
He never moved. As far as I know, he died on the spot right there. Yeah. No, so here's why I took the jump after that is we were going up the lift maybe a couple times after that, and I saw these kids around my age or so, maybe younger, taking the jump, and they weren't getting to the downhill, so they couldn't clear the flat. So they're going off and landing flat and then going down the hill. And I'm like, I can do better than that.
Especially,
I've been snowboarding 7 times.
And in that era, that was really normal to see. Like, probably 75% of the guys in the park can't even get to the landing. And you don't see it as much anymore since they build multiple parks and stuff. But at the time, that was just completely normal.
Yeah, in that era, you could really easily get a false sense of ego and think you're really, really good just because the parks weren't very good and there were so many people up there. Like, if you could can clear a landing, I must be amazing.
If you could get to the landing, it was not abnormal that you were the best snowboarder on the mountain in the park. Yeah, for that type of riding. Exactly. Like, I was not abnormal. Like, I'm the best here today, because I can get to the landing. And man, if you rotate, it's like you're really good.
You're on another level. You should be on competitions. You have one trick.
Yeah. Which at the time, pros were spinning 540s.
Right.
So that wasn't wrong necessarily. Like, it was, people were still figuring out how to do it, and boards were not forgiving back then at all. So
that era is still, I mean, not that year, but like kind of that era when we were going a ton was the only time I've actually ever spun a 540 and kind of rode off with minimal hand drag. No, but I saw those kids going off and I'm like, I can go better than that. And this jump is, even for a small gap, a 15-foot gap, it was built terribly. Just huge lip, not much lead up. It was like a kicker, right?
When it went downhill to uphill, so it was because they built the wedge, the takeoff in the middle of the hill. So you were going downhill, and all of a sudden now you're going uphill. So there was no down, flat, get ready, up, and then go as they build them all now. It was just I'm down, now I'm up.
Yes, exactly. And so not knowing anything, I took it from probably at least twice as high as anybody else was doing, because I'm like, I need the speed, I can do it, and then kicked me backwards immediately, just like feet up in front of my face right away. Yeah. And luckily I had the wherewithal to throw my head back. I'm like, I remember thinking very clearly, I'm going backwards. I need to complete this rotation in some way. I had done enough like jumping off trees and backflips on hills to know that I was in a dangerous position. So I'm like, okay, just throw my head, see what happens. Try to get to my feet or my stomach or something. Yeah. And so I threw my head back and came around. And when I remember seeing the ground when I came around and was thinking, I'm still 10 feet up. that's a problem. Like I'm about to do like a 1.5 back. And so I pushed my back leg out as hard as I could to catch my tail. And I caught a little bit of my tail, which probably saved me, to be honest.
Probably.
And then that flipped me back onto my head. And then I remember opening my eyes and thinking, oh no, ski patrol's going to have to come now. I better get up as fast as I can.
Yeah, the last thing you want is ski patrol coming.
Guys.
Yeah, let's get moving. So what I watched happen from that is you were going up, and also the wedge on that thing, because it was icy, and again, they didn't maintain parks at all back then. Geez, they barely do now over at that mountain still. Like, they don't have much of a crew, you know? So, but it was rutted out like crazy. So it's icy and rutted out. And so I saw you catch your heel side edge at the lip. So not only was it kind of throwing you back anyway, but then it full on just caught. And so, so one side of you stopped and it threw and you were like flying. You if I remember right, you rolled the windows down like once, then committed to the flip. You were like, try to straighten it. Nope, we're going. And just hucked back and got it around. And then the board touched. And then it just blew up, you know.
For a second. Do you remember how long I was out for? Or did it seem like I was out at all?
No, it didn't seem like you were out at all. No, so it's just you hit and then and I don't think you even let it like slide to a stop. I do believe you popped up before you were done moving. Yeah. So but you might have been sliding for a while though, you know. It was that day.
I do know I was out for at least like a second. Like the lights went out because I remember like vividly opening my eyes. I'm like, oh, get to the group as fast as you can. Yeah. Like, so that no one thinks I'm hurt or whatever. And then, but yeah, actually, now that I think about it, you still heard the chairlift cheer, so I wasn't out for that long.
Right. Yeah, exactly. People were stoked.
They were so stoked. And that was that was the beginning of my pink hat days, and so. Everyone knew the rest of the day on the mountain. They knew me as the backflip kid.
There's the backflip kid. You've been called the backflip kid since your 7th day snowboarding or whatever.
Ever since.
But that was always So I was just talking to somebody about that. So I was talking to Katrin, my boss up on Mount Spokane, and she was talking about. I was telling her like the park is so much fun right now because it's kind of like the only fun thing on the mountain because again there's no snow. But and they are plowing snow from everywhere to keep it in the park. So because that's what you got going for you. So we're going to stay open. This is what you got to do. Anyway, so I was talking about it. She's like, man, I can't get comfortable. She's like, I can drop cliffs. I can do pillow lines. I can do this stuff. And I can't do a man-made jump. It just scares me half to death. It doesn't work. Yeah. And anyway, so I was talking to her about it, about like, man, when I first started, the whole time I've been skiing and snowboarding, it's been the opposite. Like, the first thing I knew how to do, as soon as I went off a jump, was like, oh, this all makes sense now. I understand. As soon as I get in the air, I understand what's happening. And, but on the ground was the problem, especially when I started snowboarding. Because in your first couple of days, trying to figure out how to get from one edge to the other, how to turn. If you don't know how to turn, it's just like, it doesn't make any sense. It's super tough. And, and so I remember, even my first time snowboarding, you and I traded skis and snowboards in 1999, maybe 2000, something like that.
Somewhere in there, yeah.
Somewhere in there.
We would do that periodically for a while.
Yeah, and I used my hands to get from one edge to the other. So it's like on one edge, so I'm like on my toes and I'd shove off with my hand off my toes to get onto my heels the other way, and then I just get low again and push the other way because like I can't figure out how to get from one side to the other at all. Like every time I just lean over, I face plant. So apparently I got to shove myself to the other one. So I do that, but aim myself at a jump, and as soon as I get in the air, I'm like, oh yeah, this feels great. I like this. And then I land. I'm like, oh crap, now we're back to snowboarding again. I don't know what I'm doing anymore.
I remember you describing it back then as like snowboarding is really easy. It's just like a series of jumps.
Yeah. And as long as you're in the air, it's not hard when you're in the air. It's when you're on the ground that's the problem, you know?
I remember having like, nightmare is the wrong word, or PTSD is maybe more accurate, of coming down for the first, year or two, coming down the mountain in the car and worried about catching your edge.
Oh, totally. Yeah,
just
I remember that too.
Because you had caught your edge so many times those first few days. And it was so sudden, and you feel like you had no control over it at all, that you were like, oh no, like the car's going around the corner, lean hard.
Yeah.
The wheels are gonna catch, and we're just gonna flip down across the road or something.
I wonder if it is that. Does it actually have, because the stress levels have got, I mean, I don't have that much memory of it anymore, real honestly,
Yeah.
but the stress levels are so high when you're beginning, and you're
Yeah.
just randomly just getting the snot beat out of you. You know, you're
Yeah.
going along, you think everything's fine. And then all of a sudden your face is in the ground, you know? And geez, I was riding with Jason once. We were coming down, and this is like probably like my third year, so I'm really good now.
Yeah, of course.
Not
Yeah,
really. I felt like
basically a professional.
basically a professional. More than anything, I just knew I liked going really fast. And so
Right.
we are flying down Mount Spokane, down, we're straight shooting it and down chair one, like just
Okay.
full on, just
Yeah.
seeing how fast can we go. And came over some rollers, and I came over a roller and it kind of went to my toes and I had to adjust, came over another roller and caught my heel edge. And again, so like, I
Oh,
don't know. It felt like 60 back then, you know, it was probably 40 or something like that, you know, but anyway,
right.
but I was going really fast, and then wham, back of my head, you know, slam into the ground.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yeah, probably concussion, you know, again,
Oh, for sure.
we're talking about head injuries these days, so
Man,
you
that
start
is.
thinking through how often, like, there's no way I didn't have concussion after that.
Yeah, I mean, with all the head injuries I've had, none of them have been severe, seemingly. But snowboarding, learning, catching your edge has got to be up there with the worst. Like,
Yeah.
because it's so sudden and there's no opportunity to catch yourself. It's just all of a sudden you're riding, you're thinking you're great. Oh, you're kind of off balance, and then smack
Now, the
as
blessing
hard
of
as you
that
ever could.
is that you don't then catch yourself because you don't have time, which means then you don't break your
Right.
arm, you don't break your wrist, that kind of thing.
It's true.
You know, those
Yeah.
usually happen in the
Yeah.
slower falls. The quick ones, at least you just, I don't know, at least you just ruin your head and you don't ruin your arm, you know, like that's,
Yeah. Right.
because
Yeah, of
that's
course.
probably better, you know?
I mean, you know, your head, it's built to take impact, right? It's why we got that hard thing around the brain
Yeah, right.
so that we
have
can hit it hard.
It's a built-in helmet, you know, like it's,
Yeah, I think there might be somewhere in my subconscious that maybe thinks that my skull is a built-in helmet. It's possible.
I think you do. I think I've come around to, I've been convinced otherwise by this point, you know, and
Yeah,
I think you still
we'll
hang on to
see.
that a little bit.
I might. We'll see. Give me a couple years. Maybe I'll adapt my way of thinking.
Well, just so you know, if you ever start skateboarding with a helmet, I'm not going to say a word. You do you, no problem. I'm not even going to bring it up. Just,
Okay.
you know, that's it. I'm not going to say be positive or negative, because I
Okay.
know that's all negative incentives. So I'm just going to leave it alone. I won't say anything. I'll comment on
Yeah.
whatever trick you do. That's the only thing I'm going to say.
I don't know why I have such a hang up about snowboarding. I don't have as much of a hang up on. I think if I were going a lot and riding hard, I think I'm sure I'd wear a helmet.
They
I don't
make them
really
so
care.
good now that it's more convenient
Yeah.
than anything. Also, I use it a lot to break through branches when I'm riding tight trees.
Hey, there we
It's
go.
kind of handy. I mean, it's really well, this goes into the whole helmet conversation too that people always have.
Yeah.
So the stats show, I mean, first of all, helmets obviously help ahead in most impacts. There are outliers,
Of
kind of like
course.
wearing a seatbelt, right? There are
Yeah,
times
right.
that people are saved because they didn't put a seatbelt on. But those are the minority. You know, the majority are
yeah, rare.
seatbelts do help you. And
Of course.
so same thing, helmets for most impacts, better that you had a helmet on or not. But there are weird falls where a helmet has injured someone more than that. But what the stats
Yeah.
show is with increased helmet wearing, the head injuries then also increase. And
Because you're taking more risks, right?
that's what they believe. I don't know if that's all been sorted out or not. So that's just
Yeah.
what that stat is. But the obvious thing is like, well, there's no way the helmet actually is causing more injuries, but your reaction to wearing the helmet makes you behave differently. Just like I just said, where, oh, I got a helmet on, I guess I'll use my head to break through these branches. Where with a hat on, there's no way I'm doing that, right? that's stupid,
I
you
would-
know?
I would do the exact same thing. I mean, it's no different than when you're snowboarding with, you just have a lot of layers on, so you feel this a little bit of insulation and a little bit of padding. And
Yeah.
so when you're riding through trees, you just like, oh, there's a snowy branch. I'm sure I can just plow through that and it'll be fine. And then 99% of times you can, and then a couple times it knocks you on your ass and you don't make it through. And
Didn't you go to push through one that didn't move and it tore your jacket?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, up
Like
on
you-
Mount Spokane.
Sometimes you think they're bendy, and they're not bendy. Like, because you get so used to
No.
the branches bending, you're just kind of moving through, especially when they get tight, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden you hit one that was like, oh, that didn't move at all.
No, it threw me on my back so hard. My jacket was ripped up, but it's the same concept. Like, I have this padding, I feel pretty good, and then you don't. So the helmet's the same thing. I blast through it with my head, no
Right?
problem.
Yeah, it's fine.
With snowboarding, I don't feel as opposed to wearing a helmet as I do with skateboarding, and I don't know why that is. I
think there's a
culture,
cultural thing there, you know,
Could be.
and yeah, actually, and it's interesting that because board sports, of course, are all basically we're all just trying to be surfers, right? Is what's really happening. Surfing happened,
Probably.
and then and then it progressed to then skateboarding because waves went bad and a drought in California, right? Like that's, and then skateboarding developed in what it is now, where it has more of that surf style and all of that, and then it progressed to, oh, we could do this on the snow too, and so how do we do that? And then wakeboarding, same thing. It's like, okay, well, I don't have an ocean, but I got a boat, so but we're all basically just surfers, and so I think the culture seems to move that way, and it changes with each variation, of course. Probably a little bit depending on how protective you need to be over the places you go.
Yeah.
And so it's too easy for things to be overcrowded, and like what I know of surfing is those spots can get, well, geez, the videos I've seen too can get so overcrowded that if you know of a spot that's not crowded, it makes sense that you don't want anyone to know about it. And then,
of course, yeah.
And skateboarding turned into the same type of thing. It's a little bit different. But if you got a spot and all of a sudden, especially because skateboarding so often, we're doing things, not as much now that skate parks exist, but before skate parks, most of the skateboarding we were doing was illegal one way or another.
Right.
So if you have 100 people all of a sudden show up to a spot, you don't get to skateboard there anymore. Cops are definitely coming.
If you look at current video parts, that's still the case. I mean, like, the majority of kids skateboarding are still going to go to parks now because they're available. Right. But if you're looking at like good skaters or people trying to get, footage for sponsor me tapes or as part for some video, they're going somewhere they're not supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah, and then if you're doing, especially in the street world, and then now all the street skaters are starting to like go downhill too. And once again, they're blasting these hills in San Francisco, and like
those videos are crazy.
Oh, geez, man, I saw one just the other day of a guy, blasting through this thing, and of course, on a regular skateboard, like they don't have any hope of slowing. You just gotta hope the road's clear. And man, he hit a car so hard, was just demolished him.
Yeah.
And
there's only so much power sliding you can do on those kind of steep hills.
Yeah, when it gets steep enough, like you and I've done enough of that. It gets steep enough on hard wheels that you go into a slide and you don't slow down.
No,
you're just going just as fast.
Yeah, now just uncontrolled because you can't steer.
Exactly. Yeah, and then you start a little bit of control. Not
Right,
much though.
bit.
But even when you're going straight on a traditional board, again, you hit like around 20 miles an hour plus. You're not really steering then either. A little bit of movement, those wheels are breaking loose. You're kind of just hanging on. What you've put in motion is just happening now.
Yeah. But yeah, for some reason the skateboarding, because I don't really skateboard anywhere except for the bowl.
Right.
Any bowl or small park that I go to, and the person I ride mostly with over here, Kevin, he has worn a helmet as long as I've known him, and so it's not like it's a stigma around here anymore.
Yeah.
But in my head, I don't know, it's a lot of, I gotta go get one and I gotta buy one. And I just I'm not doing anything that dangerous. I'm not risking that much anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not like trying brand new tricks. If I go to the vert ramp out here, West Seattle has a private full size 13.5-foot vert ramp. And if I go there, I completely pad up, like everything.
Yeah.
But at my bowl, I'm like, I'm fine. Like,
well, most part, you're doing the same thing you've been doing for years, right? But it is but you never know when something just hits a little weird, And, and if you're not falling regularly, you'd stop remembering how to fall in a safe way.
Yeah.
And I mean just notoriously, like a little pebble. Right? Like how often a little pebble, you scoped it out even ahead of time. Even sometimes we even swept the bowl ahead of time. And then there was still a little thing there that you didn't see, and all of a sudden your board stops, and you're flying forward.
I mean, that's how I broke my wrist really bad. Like 10 years ago, out here wasn't a pebble, but it was some kids had drawn a mural of chalk across the entire flat bottom, and so I was riding what I thought was slow enough and timid enough, but apparently was still too fast. And I went through the flat and went to go into a corner and leaned just ordinarily, probably fine, but sooner than I should have, considering all the dust that had built up. And my wheels just slipped out. And my hand went right into the wall and like dislocated and broke a bone. And like, it's just, from a carve. I was carving a corner.
Yeah.
You know, like,
right.
I just went splat.
Just doing something you can do in your sleep. No big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they're just going to happen. But so, but I even feel, but in skateboarding, I've been wearing a helmet skateboarding since like when we really got into it. That's been a really long time. And but there is a cultural thing about it, right? So if I put it on, then I feel like I need to be in the big bowl, not the little bowl. You know what I mean? Like, I gotta be on 9 foot plus.
Yeah.
If I'm riding 3-footers, I should probably take it back off. You know.
I know, isn't that weird? That societal pressure, but almost like just individual pressure that we feel from that.
Right. I mean, there's no way anyone actually there is putting that pressure on me or anything like that. And also, like, I'm 43. I don't feel that pressure off other people anymore. That's just for me. You know,
it's expected. We've transitioned to the old guys at the park, and so
old guys wear
we
helmets.
should be padded up, right? Yeah, that's what we do.
Totally normal, right? I'm surprised I don't have wrist guards on, right? Like that's
exactly.
really normal, you know.
Exactly.
Like a lot of times the old guys, they've broken their wrist enough. I'm like, I put wrist guards on. I'm not an idiot, you know. I need to be able to go to work tomorrow. So.
Oh man, all this to say, this is why we should just stick to running.
You know, it doesn't do as much for you as instantly. I think that's what me and Christy and I were talking the other day, and so the question was actually here's the question for you, because it's a little bit harder of a question than you think. What always makes you happy? Let me rephrase that.
Oh, interesting.
What always puts a smile on your face? Always.
Oh,
every time.
Interesting.
Right? Because the go-to is, of course, what I wanted to say immediately was, oh, my kids, right?
Yeah.
And, hang on.
But no, not.
There we go. I'm back.
But not every time.
Not every time. Sometimes that's super stressful. Sometimes we're dealing with stuff. Sometimes they're having a rough day and giving you a hard time with it, right? Other times it's the best thing in the world, right? But, I've heard having kids more described as like, it just increased the emotion, right? So wherever your lows were, now you can go a lot lower, and wherever your highs were, they go a lot higher, you know? So like my emotions used to get to be here, now they're out here, you know? And anyway, and so you get to experience way more of both ends, but it's not instant.
Man, yeah, I would say there's nothing that puts a smile on my face or makes me happy every single time I do it, because it's managing expectations a lot of times, like, because like going for a run, working out, skateboarding, spending time with Elise, whatever it is, could be if I am expecting it to go a certain way and then it's not, like, well, I'll take the easy one, skateboarding. If I'm like, oh, I want to go and skate because I have the time, let's go do it, and it's just not working, like, you know, for whatever reason, tons of reasons, it might not be working very well. And like, nope, this is not putting a smile on my face. And I'm having to like be present in the moment to, okay, just relax, have fun. We're just carving. Like, we're not trying anything. Oh, I should really try this though. I should chew this, go up this wall and really hit this trick. No. I'm just carving. I'm having fun.
Sure.
Right? I'm having fun. Stop it. I'm having fun. And it's just not fun. That's, I don't, did you come up with an answer? I can't think of anything.
Both of us came up with the same answer. It's a little more out of the box rather than like a specific activity or person or anything like that. But what we both simultaneously basically felt was, no, an adrenaline rush does.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So if you can put yourself in a position that's an adrenaline rush, even if, you know, when we were younger, we would do this all the time and go and maybe push a little too scary just to guarantee it happens. And as we get older, you don't want to guarantee an adrenaline rush because you are pushing your limits then. But every time you get into a position where it's like you get that, you know, especially if it's outside too, if you can get adrenaline rush outdoors, like, no, I come away smiling every single time, even in the circumstances that's been like, okay, that was stupid, you know, and still you go away giggling, you know?
Yeah, no, that's good. Adrenaline will do it. Doing something creating something, actively creating something, creating a piece of music, creating I don't know, doing something creative and being in the moment with that will always put a smile on my face. Accomplishing something.
Yeah.
So a trick, overcoming a fear. I'm really scared of jumping off this thing. I'm going to jump off the thing anyway. Like something like this. Yeah. So which isn't always adrenaline. Sometimes it's adrenaline, but sometimes that's not. Sometimes that's just getting out of your own way. Right.
Sure.
Yeah. That's interesting though. That's a tough question.
Yeah. But anyway, but for me, that's what hits all the time. And then I use that as, that is my, antidepressant and, and all that. It always has been for years. And then I've found other things that just are less possibilities of injuries as I've gotten older that also work. Maybe don't work quite as guaranteed, but I also don't get injured as much.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I don't think I have a good amount of people over here to go do the things that can get my adrenaline up.
Right.
Because if I skateboarding to get my adrenaline up, I got to be pushing my limits, which I don't really have the time to do to be competent enough to do that. And that's really the only place where I'm around people that can push me.
Right.
Everything else is just, I don't know. I just don't have that type of connection over here.
For sure. And then that is again that type where of thing. Exercise and running. Yeah, it's never an adrenaline rush, but it does still get those things. It does still get you there, but it's not as guaranteed. Yeah. So those other things are guaranteed, but this is no, but it's healthy. You're doing a lot of good things for yourself. And
like I've said before, you never leave a run or a workout with regret.
I heard that was what you and Brian were talking about. And
do you disagree with that?
I was listening to that and what? I think most people feel that way. I think that you're right on. Really? I think most people relate to that, and that is not the case for it is most of the time. Okay. But there are some bad runs that stand out that no, that was awful.
I wish I wouldn't have done that.
I should not have done that. I should not have been out here. I was not in the right place for this. I was having a really hard time, and
wow.
Yeah, it depends. It's got to be a rough spot, but man, sometimes, it's almost especially on a long run, and if you're by yourself, your brain goes places, and usually it's a really, really good thing, and it sorts stuff out and all that.
Yeah.
And, but there's been a couple runs in the last, I can think of 2 in the last year where I wasn't in a good mental place for it. And as my brain was trying to sort through some things, it piled on and combined with a few other things too, to where I couldn't do it and felt horrible, felt bad about myself, felt like I'll never be able to run again. What's even the point of any of this? I'm clearly just getting out of shape as I'm trying to work harder. And, and that whole, the failure run is the one that I just wasn't in the right place for. I wasn't strong enough then. I probably needed a nap. And instead, because naps just ruin my days. So instead of taking a nap, I went for a run, and I should have been smarter, not done that. I didn't have the energy for it. Shouldn't have, now, because now I'm not in a good mental place to begin with. I'm not in a good physical place to handle this, because I'm just sleep deprived. And you go out and push it anyway, and then not even push. I'm not even going to push. On purpose, I'm going to go out and run 9-minute miles, and I'm going to go get 10 miles in or something like that, because I just need, because I'm feeling like my head's not in a good spot. A long run's going to do the trick. Go out and do that. And, I had one, we talked about before, but I had one run, and I had 4 miles left, and I can't run anymore. I just can't do it, So I walked all the way back to my car.
Yeah, man, I've never experienced that. I
called Nikki and was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. Can you help me through this? I'm in the woods by myself and I'm sad.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
It was, it stands out because it was that specific run was the worst ever. But again, off the top of my head, I can think of 3 more that all went pretty similar. Where I got, 3 miles in felt great, and then something switched about a half mile after that, and then I got to get back now somehow, but I'm not feeling it today at all. And then to have that empathy for yourself to just be okay, it's just where you're at right now. It's okay. That'd be the thing to grow with. Instead, I'm in the middle of the run, so I'm tired too because I've been running and everything, and I just sometimes on those ones just get harder on myself instead. Oh, geez, buddy, you can't even do this right. Come on.
Oh, man.
Isn't that horrible?
That's so horrible. Well, and those lessons learned often don't come around until, that doesn't happen right away or in the moment. If
Oh,
you
for sure.
if you are working with a coach, or a trainer or something, they can sometimes get you to at least intellectually recognize that in the
Yeah.
moment or
Yep.
or right afterwards. But even then, it's going to take a little while for acceptance to sit in,
Yeah.
right? Of
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to actively learn from this moment and these feelings and this emotion. But you're not going to be feeling great after.
So I think the thing that I've learned to do so I don't end up there, because it's just such a miserable experience. So what I started to do instead was to set my expectations for what I'm going to do ahead of time. Okay, I'm going on this run. This is the purpose of this run. The purpose is, on that particular one, my purpose should have been, I just want to be in the woods for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
I don't care how far I go. I don't even care if I actually run. Maybe I walk. Maybe I just look at pretty trees or something, and that's fine, But what is the expectation? What am I trying to do? Okay, I'm obviously too tired to get a good workout in. That's not the point. I do need to get my blood movement. I do need fresh air. But who cares what actually happens here? And instead, I remember on that particular one I was going and I had a tougher time up a hill than I should have because I was in better shape than that. And just weird thoughts of am I not in as good a shape as I thought I was? Am I going downhill? And none of that was true.
Yeah.
It was just in my head at the moment. But had I set, kind of boundaries for myself as far as what am I actually trying to accomplish here? Well, I wasn't trying to run that hill fast. That wasn't the point. I'm not out here to do that,
Right.
And so I've tried to be more like that. Sometimes I'm following an actual training plan where this is the plan for today is what I'm doing. And that's nice, but I'm not on that, at least making a decision ahead of time. What's the purpose? Is today a PR day? If you're not feeling a PR day, don't go and try and do a PR. If I'm not feeling like I can do a PR.
Or you do, and you just don't tell yourself you're doing it up here, and you tell yourself, oh, we're just chilling, run faster, we're just chilling, but also run faster.
Can you do that?
I do that all the time.
You do?
It's so stupid. It's so dumb. I go out and I'm like, I'm gonna try to get a fast mile that I haven't done in years, but I'm just gonna, but not really. I'm just gonna go run, and then in the back of my head, also I'm gonna try to run the fastest mile I've done in 3 years.
Yeah.
But just run, just chill, just relax, and then you're coming back push.
It's
harder,
fine.
faster.
It's fine. You're not really doing it. You're not really doing it. It's okay.
It's fine. It doesn't
Maybe a little
matter. It
quicker.
doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Go faster. Push.
Yeah. It doesn't matter, but it is entirely who you are right now.
Yes, absolutely.
This
Your
determines
entire
who you
worth.
are.
Your entire worth depends on what time you get in the next 30 seconds.
So here's my version of that same thing, because I don't do that often, but if I am going to do what I think is going to be a fast run, I sandbag myself out loud before going all the time. So I'm in my living room, and Christy's learned to just kind of laugh at me as I'm doing this, because I just go through this whole thing where I'm in my living room and I'm talking to her about it, I'm gonna go. I don't really feel like going. I'm not very fast today. I'm just gonna go out and just gonna get in 6 miles. It's fine. I'm just gonna do that. I'm just gonna hang out, and I just go. I'll go on for 15 minutes. I mean, it's terribly annoying to her, and objectively annoying. It's not like she's
I can imagine.
It's not like Christy's telling me that she's annoyed by me. No, I am being annoying.
Yeah.
Because I'm just
can
sitting
tell.
here talking myself down for 15 minutes before going so I can lower my expectations so that I'm not super sad if I don't PR, and I'm
Oh my gosh.
just no, it's not. I'm just going to go. I'm just going to get some miles in. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go do that. And well, maybe I don't think I'm going to run. I'm not going to run it. And Christy's like, would you go run, please? Go run. You need to go run. Okay, fine, I'll do it. But I'm not going to go fast. I'm just going to go for a run. That's all.
Yeah.
If I've done that, the longer I do that, usually the faster I go. Because
Really?
in my head, usually I think there's a subconscious thing knowing this could be my fastest day. And I'm trying to relieve the pressure off of that. And I'm just sitting there sandbagging myself to myself. Trying to relieve that pressure.
Is it because you'll be disappointed if it's not your fastest day?
Probably, yeah. No, not just probably,
Okay,
yeah,
see,
100%. Yeah, I'll be
Because that
disappointed.
doesn't bother me. Because I've gone out tons of times and trying to really get a fast mile and trying to improve on a speed and intentionally doing it and very clearly failing for, I can come up with excuses why, but the reality is it just didn't happen. And it just, it's kind of it's a bummer.
Yeah.
But it doesn't faze me that much.
Sure.
I'm like, oh, I'll try again later. I'll try next
Yeah,
time.
it can, if I'm not in the right state of mind, it can ruin a day, you know, and
Oh
I'm
man,
pretty
that's
good about
funny.
not letting it affect too much. You know, pretty quick I can snap out of it or whatever. But yeah, and I've done better at coming home, which is so funny. Like, okay, so in the last couple months I've started to do better at this. And but I've been running for, is it 35 years or something like
Yeah,
that? And I'm just now like starting to work on it not completely affect my self-worth depending on
that's
how fast I
you
was
know
that
what?
day.
I'm proud. I'm proud of you, man.
And
That's really
yeah,
good.
man, I went for a run the other I went we did we had running club this last week, and we did that, and I knew, like, I've been driving all day long. My
Mhm.
whole family's sick for 2 weeks. I've not
Yeah,
the workout you and I did, our sprint workout, which we're
yeah.
going to talk about here in a moment because we
Yes,
need to
we
talk
are.
about that. But
Speaking of failure.
yes, and so anyway, so I had done that, and I think that's, and then I lifted at the gym a couple times. That's all I've done in
Hmm.
2 weeks, and
Yeah.
so. And then even before that, my running been very sporadic. The weather's been all kinds of crazy, getting ready for the mountain, and I've been busy at work. So, you know, all these things line up to where, like, I'm not in good condition right now. Well, I'm in good
Hmm.
condition. I'm not in fast running condition right now.
Right. Right.
So, anyway, and I had just like eaten like a whole box of licorice while driving,
Yeah.
because that's what happens when I drive a long ways. And so I finally got myself to stop eating licorice 20 minutes before run club, you know. So
Yeah.
like, like, okay, don't go run this thing fast. Why not enjoy the company of the people you're here to run
Right.
with? You
Yeah.
know, and so
Yeah.
I did that, and it was great. Like, I ran with,
Nice.
yeah, I ran with a couple of guys that are regulars there and stuff, and we took off and we ran like an 8:30 for the first one. Actually, did negative splits. We ran 8:30 and 8 minute, and finished off with a 7:30, and
Nice.
it was a blast. And one of the guys with us, that he PR'd his 5K with us for that one.
Oh,
And
awesome.
so that was also cool. Like, we got to go, because he told us ahead of time. He's like, okay, my goal is I'm gonna try and run with you guys. Like, hey, this is the right day to do it. Let's
Nice.
do it. You know. Then we all
Yeah.
just kind
Yeah.
of, just without talking, we just picked it up a little more, picked it up a little bit more, and
Yeah.
finally coming down the last probably like half mile, we were striding out pretty quick. You know, it was moving
That's
right
awesome.
along, and he was able to stick right with it because we kind of eased into that and stuff. And so
Yeah.
it was fun. And then so he was stoked. I got to have my fight carrier stoke, you know, when people get to do that. Like, yes, I got to be a
Yeah.
part of it. That's so much fun, you
Man,
know.
that's always exciting.
Rather than, you know, in other times I'll go to run club and, like, I just kind of feel like taking off. And so I'll
Yeah.
just, you know, like, I feel like going fast today. I really feel like going fast. I really
But
need it.
doesn't
Then I'm just by myself. And then it's the
right? I
run
was gonna
club's still
say
fun because I
that
get to have a beer with other
that
people when I'm done. But
yeah, that defeats the purpose of the run club. It seems like to me though, because then you're just not with anybody.
well, and I kind of try to go back and forth between, again, what's my purpose? What do I need today? You know, and
Yeah,
sometimes, like,
that's fair.
I'm kind of excited to go fast, or depending on what
Yeah.
course it is. Like, they have this course
Hmm.
set. I'm like, gonna want to see how quick I can do this. This looks really
Yeah,
fun, actually, you know.
I gotcha.
So, especially if we have like a downhill start, so you can get that like really stride out as you're going.
Yeah.
If your first mile's downhill, then it's always
Yeah.
like, ooh, how fast can I do this? You know.
I don't know what this hill thing you're talking about is.
And then also, the faster you go, the better the beer tastes afterwards. So there's always
Oh,
that.
of
I need to push
course.
hard enough
Yeah.
for the beer to taste good, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm not an
Obviously.
IPA fan unless I've just got done running. Then, man, any IPA tastes so good.
Maybe that'll turn me into a beer drinker. But I
I,
haven't experienced that.
yeah, no, a cold beer. And now, I guess, um, so there are things in beer that's actually really good for your recovery. You know, obviously you're
Mm.
just drinking calories, so that's really good too. It's cold, it's liquid, all that's really good.
Hmm.
And but the alcohol blocks some of the things that can help you with it. And I don't remember what those things were. You know, there's
Everything.
other
The
people that know all this
alcohol.
stuff.
Alcohol is the worst thing for you. Like
Yeah,
it's
alcohol is
just
poison.
it's
It's just as poison.
it your body. I don't think people realize this. There's a for anyone curious. There's a really good book called This Naked Mind. I don't remember who wrote it, but it's kind of written directed towards people struggling with alcohol kind of addiction and how to come off that. But she lays things out really well that I feel like a lot of people don't have this base knowledge of. Essentially, anytime you ingest alcohol, doesn't matter the percentage, your body shuts down your metabolism and goes to
Mm,
fighting the alcohol.
mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
there's no situation where it's actually beneficial to have any alcohol aside from
Yeah,
just I want to have alcohol, right? But it's just, there's nothing good about it ever. We all still do it and drink. Actually, I haven't been drinking
Well,
almost at all lately.
well, and
But
there's a huge movement towards, the people younger than us. There's a lot not drinking at all. From what I
yeah,
understand, alcohol sales are down, like it's
hmm
not as common as it was. And then there's sober bars opening up in places. I think you have a couple over in your
really
side of the state. We don't have any in
interesting.
Spokane yet. But yeah, starting to do that. So it's like, oh, you can still go to a bar, but and they have non-alcoholic drinks there, and
Interesting.
they're starting to make things. I have a few friends that are sober, and they said they actually make non-alcoholic hard alcohol now. So,
What does that mean?
well, basically, you can mimic if you want a tequila shot, you can have a
Yeah.
tequila shot, and there's no alcohol in it, but it tastes the
Huh.
same. It has the bite, it has the burn, all that stuff that's also really pleasurable, and
Weird.
just no alcohol effects. Or if
So
you
it's
want to
like,
like Yeah, so if you want to make like a margarita, well, a non-alcoholic margarita would taste horrible if it didn't have like the bite of the tequila. You have that flavor to it. Otherwise,
yeah,
it's just juice. Well, it's still just juice, but let's add this bite in because you liked that,
you're just drinking vinegar basically.
pretty much. But
It's like you're just doing shots of apple cider vinegar all the time.
you could do that. I
Which,
mean, really, you could train because you can get used to anything, right? You could train yourself into that being just as
whoa,
much fun.
that is what I do. Like I'll
Right.
do it in my tea, or I'll do spoonfuls or shots of it periodically. Like it's yeah, it works. Takes that
So
off.
many things like that are just we get used to certain rituals. We like
Yeah,
rituals, so we do them, and you can change
yeah,
them into anything. And yeah, I mean, for a while it was blueberries and yogurt was my nightly ritual, and that's what I
yeah,
needed every night to go to sleep now, because that's just
yeah.
what I set myself into. But anyway, no, that to be said, then if you drink non-alcoholic beer, you get all the benefits from a beer because it's still made from hops, still got
hmm
all that stuff, still all the calories, all that,
Yeah, yeah.
and without the alcohol blocking all that stuff. And yeah, but we were lied to for so
Interesting.
long do you remember when it was like one glass of wine is good for your heart, one glass of wine a
Oh,
day, stuff like
yeah,
that, they would say.
yeah,
And to realize like now when you look at those same studies, especially I feel like post-pandemic, we've all gotten used to actually looking at studies and being like, wait a second, you're doing this
yeah,
backwards. You missed the key component as to why this was.
yeah.
This wasn't what it was here. What we actually was going on is people that can afford to drink a glass of red wine every night. Okay, are they probably
hmm
eating a nice meal every night too? You know,
Yeah,
are they probably also pretty wealthy? Are they probably also then have a gym membership? You
yeah,
know, what other components in here? But picture a person that drinks a glass of red wine every night.
yeah,
They probably have all kinds of other things that would make it so they're probably not going to get heart disease. And it had nothing
yeah,
with the wine. It had to
yeah,
do with what else is in the lifestyle of someone that drinks a glass of red wine every night.
yeah.
So,
Exactly.
they probably are, yeah, just being wealthy. That alone
Yeah,
usually would set you up to not have heart disease.
man. That's the biggest, probably the most beneficial class I ever had in college was a research class. Just how to conduct and read research. And
Right.
that was the entire class. And that was, I remember thinking during that time, like, oh, this is like, why, like, everyone should know how to do this. Like, things are not
Yeah.
as clear as like the summary of a research paper.
Right.
You can't read the headline and take everything. You need to look at every aspect of it. Um,
Especially as we know now, that those headlines are always lying because headlines are advertising, right? Like
yeah,
that's kind of the point.
yeah. I remember I had a professor say that the best takeaway I had any professor say was, with enough money, you can find research that supports any theory
Yeah.
or any hypothesis. Like
Right.
you can always find something that will support your idea. Doesn't mean it's right,
Hmm.
but like with enough money, you can always do it. You can pull specific rare studies, find the correlation, put them together, and done. You now can
Yeah.
show why processed sugar is really, really good for you.
Right. Totally.
know?
Like I think I could make that argument right now. It's full on not true. I won't believe it. I think I could make that argument just fine and get
I'm
get
sure
some people on my side.
Well, you're also really good at spinning things into making them sound good. So you have a talent for that. You want to go hike up this thing? It's only a couple miles. It might
Yeah.
be 10, but it's probably like 1. It's fine. It's going to be
Where's
great.
where's the top? The top's always around the next corner. And the key to being good at that though is that you got to really believe it. And I do believe the top is around that next corner. I full on believe it. I've already talked myself into it. I'm a true believer the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, well, hey, I'm like 70% of the time I'm there right with you, because it's like when
Yeah.
you're going for a hard run, you only got to get to the next tree. It's fine.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then well, no, I mean the next tree. I didn't mean that tree. I meant to the next tree. And
Is that
then
where this comes from, that we kind of needed to talk ourselves into this? Just being active and young, right? And pushing yourself when you're, 12. You needed
yeah,
to trick yourself into this because it's miserable, And at 12, you don't want to
it
go
is
out and be
miserable.
miserable. And so you got to
No, you
find
don't.
games or things to make it so that it's not, and
Yeah.
yeah, kind of trick yourself into it.
Either trick yourself or just you can't, the pressure put on yourself that you cannot fail. At least for me,
Hmm.
at that age, 14 years old or whatever, learning to run distance, learning to run some miles in Puyallup, and just thinking you cannot fail. This is part of your life, whether you chose it or not. You do this, and you have to make it to that tree. You can stop at the tree, but you have to make it to the tree. Now, you can't actually stop at the tree. You got to stop at the next tree. Like, just like
Yeah.
pushing that boundary further and further of what you need to achieve. It's all, man, for me, it was all self-imposed of I need to live up to this, especially
Sure.
at that time when I was learning at the adolescence,
And
time frame.
I think that process, I've heard people talk about it being, things like that, how you were raised or something like that, or this kind of thing, like, oh, I was tricked into all these things and whatever, and it was unhealthy.
Yeah,
No, different things are healthy at different times. So I think
totally.
that what was driven into me, from our dad was, if you're going for a run, you run always. And and meaning no walking, period, no matter how you feel. And
Yeah,
if you hit a wall and you can't run anymore, then you keep running, not moving. You don't
okay.
have to be moving forward. Doesn't matter how fast you're going forward. You do
Yeah,
not stop running in a run. And having that driven in at like 8 years old was a really good thing for me for that time. It's like, it's good to brainwash children in positive ways, right? In order to do
yeah,
that. And then as we get older, we're then now allowed to add nuance to it. And so now when I'm doing like a hard trail run, well, no, walking actually makes all the sense in the world here if I'm trying to get the best time. Running
yeah,
is not, it's not always faster. That's not always true, right? But to build in that discipline as a kid, and I
yeah.
still though hear my dad in my head, and I still feel like a failure occasionally when
Hmm.
whenever I do walk. And even though like I walked and now I'm actually going faster, this makes more
Yeah,
sense here. This is strategy. And yeah, but I still hear my dad in my head like, no, you're not supposed to do that. You're not a runner if you walk.
yeah.
And then
That's
being a runner, not a jogger too, was the other thing. Like, no, you can't be a jogger. You don't want that label on you.
that's interesting to hear where all of that came from, because I got that from you
Yeah.
very vividly, that all those lessons were passed down, for obviously apparently from dad to you, to
Yep.
you to me. But man, those are still in my head.
Hmm.
Probably because I don't do longer distances, but man, yeah, you don't stop. You
Yeah.
go. Every time I stop on a run is right away I'm like, the run beat me. That was a
Mm,
mental failure. I am not hard on myself about it, but I'm very clear with myself that was a failure. I
right.
failed because I had to
Yeah.
stop. It doesn't matter. Like there's not a ton of weight on it, but man, those are the words. If that was a failure right there,
Right.
because I
I'll
had
feel
to
that
stop.
too. Yeah, I feel that,
Man.
or or the other way around, where I'll have to, Leah, like, I have to consciously remind myself, no, you decided to do this, and this is healthy for you to stop right now. This is the
Yeah.
right thing to do. But I actually have to like talk like, especially, man, a couple years ago when we were hitting like, it's like 110 degrees outside, and going for a run and stuff. I'm like, I'm getting dizzy. I'm gonna stop and walk, and then I have to
Yeah. Yeah.
stop, and then I have to also tell myself that you need to walk right now. This is appropriate. It's too hot. This is
Yeah.
what you need. This is what's healthy for your body. You're not failing. You're making a decision. But I have to
Right.
like walk myself through that though, because I have to unwind that brainwashing that was really good for me athletically.
Yeah.
But in this case, no, I need to make a different change. I need to be an adult and make my own decisions now
Yeah.
about what's
That's
healthy
totally
for me.
valid.
So
Um. Yeah. Okay. Well, speaking of failure, let's get into the workout,
yeah,
because I actually we're rolling. I got to wrap it up pretty
I
soon.
know, man. Well, we didn't, we haven't talked in so long, and we got to
I
like
know.
catch up, and like it's
Been
been
forever.
a couple of weeks, and yeah, and like life's happened a whole bunch, and
I
man,
know, tons.
yeah,
Okay, so the workout we were supposed to do.
All right, go ahead
was,
and say what the workout is,
yeah.
because I
So
don't think I could explain it.
This was one of mine that one of my trainers some years ago came up with for a good 25-minute cardio. And it's on a treadmill, you match your incline and your speed, and you do 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, 5 times. Then you increase your incline and your speed, same thing, 30 on, 30 off, 5 times. And then you increase again, 30 on, 30 off, 5 times, and then you go back down. So example would be 5 miles an hour at a 5 incline, and then you bump 5 times, and then you bump up to 7 incline, 7 speed, bump up to 9, 7 incline, or 9 incline, 9 speed, and then back down. Now for me, the problem I ran into is I have not been doing this in a sprint capacity in a long time. I've been doing it as cardio. So I've been doing it as like just getting my heart rate up to 140, just steady cardio, but not like a sprint. Because the way this is designed to feel is you do your first one should be easy, should be relatively slow, should be very, very attainable, nothing hard about it. Your second one should be hard. And then your third one, the highest, should be nearly unattainable. And that will make what was hard really hard and what was easy hard. And if you're failing and you can't keep up, then when you adjust your speed, you have to adjust your incline as well. So everything just moves at the same time. And because you still only have 30 seconds in between levels, it times out exactly at 25 minutes. So it's just it's an easy, straightforward cardio program to follow. But like I said, because I haven't been doing it in a sprint capacity lately, my memory of what I could do, my eyes were a little bigger than because my attempt. And when I texted to you, I was going to tell you that you should not try to mimic my speeds. For a lot of reasons, but I don't think I did tell you.
I just adjusted immediately.
Okay, good. So what I was trying to do, and this is based off one I know I've done before, I think. Actually, so I was trying to do...
Less sure now after doing it, right?
Well, yeah, and I'm thinking through the examples when I did do it. Anyway, I'll say that in a second. What I was trying to do was 7, 9, 11. So 7 incline, 7 speed, 9 incline, 9 speed, 11 miles per hour, 11 incline.
And 11 miles per hour isn't that 5:30 pace, I think?
I have no idea.
I think it's 5:30 pace,
it's fast.
which at an 11 incline is really fast. Like flat, I can be at 30 seconds just fine. At an 11, that was really hard.
It's very fast. And so thinking back to it, when I would do this with my buddy, with Brian, we would do it together. And I think I was always doing like 10 or 10.5 on the high end. And then I would increase it during. I don't think I would start at 11. I think I would end at 11 before I'd work my way back down. So 7, easy, no problem. 9, hard, totally doable. 11, the first one, I thought, I don't know if I can do this. So I did
about 5 seconds in, right? It was like I took 10 steps and was like, I'm gonna fall over. Like, this doesn't work at all.
Yeah, I did the first one and I just told myself, you can do it. You can still do it. You can do it. I did 3. I did 3 at 11, and then I have popped down to 10.5, and then popped down to 10. For that highest interval. I was just telling myself, Mike, you can do it. You can stay here. Just push through. It's only 30 seconds. I look out the window, I drive my knees, and I don't look at the clock, and I count to, I think I count to 20. Like, I count 20 steps, and then I can look at my time.
Sure.
Okay, what's my time at now? And it's usually, I have, 15 or 10 seconds left or something, at least something to get my mind off of how long it actually takes. Because it goes from, feeling like it's going to go pretty quick to just, it's taking it's the longest 30 seconds ever, when you hit that speed.
Yeah.
And then working back down, I went down to 9, and I think I did 1 at 9, and then I had to go down to 8.5, and then I had to go down to 8, and I think I finished at 8, and then I finished at 7. Wasn't as big a deal, but oh my gosh, I failed so bad, and like heart just pounding out of my chest like I haven't done in a long time.
And the darn 30-second rest is really annoying. Like, really annoying.
Why was it annoying for you?
Well, actually, I'd say on both ends, everything was too short. So I could have recovered while running, but it's too short. I could have recovered while not running, but it's too short. There's no place to recover. Like, there was nowhere to get used to anything. Like, the whole thing every time was just like, so first of all, so my experience was at the 7 and 7, that was almost annoyingly easy.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't want the break.
Yeah.
Like, I
Totally.
was, no,
Yep.
7 miles per hour at 7 incline, totally comfortable.
You do
not
not need,
breathing hard.
You don't need the rest.
Don't need the rest. I'm making myself do it, and like, that's just annoying to take rest, you know.
Yeah,
I
gotcha.
And then bumping up, just bumping the speed up would have just been kind of nice. But the darn incline makes that so much harder. So then we went to 9s, and now the other thing I struggled with was, okay, how do you rest? Because the speed up, the increasing the speed and decreasing the speed, and then did you full rest? Did you just stop?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So I did not do that.
No, there's no walking. There's no nothing.
Okay.
I hop.
So do you jump off and
jump to the side? If I'm on the middle one, if I'm on the 9-9, then I'm just standing there. If I need to, I'll step off the back and I'll kind of like pace small steps back and forth. When I'm on the 11, sometimes it's hopping off the back and nearly on my knees and my head and my hand, and then breathing as hard as I can, as trying to slow my breath as fast as possible before I have to look at the clock and see what time is left.
Okay, so I was adjusting the speed up and down.
Oh.
Which then, so what I did do in order to compensate for that is I probably took more total time because I wanted to be true to 30 seconds at this speed.
Right.
And then my rest, though, I did my rest at like 3 miles an hour.
Okay.
So I walked through my rest instead. And so anyway, so that's what I did. So then I just increased the time of each one. So I did 30-second rest, increase the speed, then I start my 30 seconds there. And so there was a little more of this in-between thing that wasn't rest and wasn't speed. It was just kind of, whatever it takes for the treadmill to do it.
It probably burned your energy more than it would have.
Probably. It definitely added an extra 5 seconds on both sides, just for it to speed up and for it to slow down. Yeah. So anyway, so I did that. And then, so 7s was annoyingly easy. 9s felt pretty good. Yeah. Like I was okay there. And then thinking through, okay, bumping through 11s. I got this. Yeah. It's only 30 seconds, no big deal.
The 9 but the 9 feel hard.
Hard, but not. It wasn't killing me.
Hard, but doable, right?
Yeah, very doable. And it was okay. I still would have preferred it to be at a minute on, minute off instead, because again, the 30-second on both ends was so annoyingly short to where I couldn't get into a rhythm running, and I can't rest here. And anyway,
you're such a distance runner. Were you going to do 11 from the outset, or were you kind of gauging it on how the 9 felt?
I was going to try everything. Okay. I wanted to know what it felt like and then adjust. Yeah. And so 9s were fine, and I wanted to stay true to the incline no matter what. Right. And then I was going to adjust the speed to whatever's safe, just so I can complete the workout. Okay. So that's what I did. So, and then I bumped up to 11 and 11. And again, I can run at 5:30 pace just fine. Yeah. But at 11 incline, that was so fast.
Really
my
fast.
legs are just falling out from under me. And basically at that kind of an incline, that is as fast as my legs will move.
Yeah, I was wondering if they were going to be able to move that quick.
Yeah, that is as quick. That was as fast as they can move for 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Like that is all out for me. And so I hopped on there and I got 10 seconds at 11 and bumped it right back down. And so, and I think I was sitting right around, I think I did more like the rest of them I did like at 9.5s at the 11 incline. Yeah. Because I just didn't have the leg speed for it. Also at the end of every single one of them, wanted to puke. Yep. Like didn't, but I was close every single time.
Yeah, me too.
And then went back down to the 9s, and the 9s were again hard, but it was fine. Yeah. And then when I got to the 7s, fully recovered. Yeah. Felt fine. Like, should I do it again? What do I do now? Yeah. Because really the 7s were again kind of annoyingly easy. Yeah. And anyway, and then the last couple, I actually ran longer because I was just getting so annoyed with stopping and starting so much. Like, no, I'm running longer than this. This is driving me crazy.
Man.
But yeah, it went from going, but it did ramp it up from going like, okay, comfortable. Ooh, it was a hard workout. Oh, I'm going to throw up every single time, all the way back down to like, oh, I'm fine again.
Yeah.
Just fine. And I don't even want to stop
Yeah.
yet. I don't want, here I failed, and here I actually don't even want to stop. It was, it was a weird one for sure.
Well, and that's what a sprinter's workouts are, because you're trying to maximize leg speed and power and explosiveness, and explosiveness and power isn't meant to last for a long time. And so you're trying to get to this peak red line. Well, you're not trying to get the red line of the heart rate, but you end up, if you're doing it correctly, getting to like the peak of your heart rate, red line in your heart rate. But if you're in good shape, the recovery should be very instantaneous. Like it shouldn't be that bad.
I didn't check my. I'm gonna have to check it out. I didn't check my heart rate afterwards. I have to look at it and see.
Yeah, mine isn't
where I
accurate
ended up
enough.
On that workout.
I wasn't wearing a good enough strap to track where mine was.
My watch, I think it's pretty consistent, so it does okay with that. I did like grab the treadmill and have it tell me, but by the time as soon as I grab it, now I'm on my recovery part, and my heart rate tends to drop pretty quick.
Right.
There's no way I wasn't in the 180 range while running, but I was instantly in the 160 range by the time I grabbed the thing.
Yeah.
So
well, that's like, I mean,
it's not very accurate.
If you're in good shape, good cardiovascular shape, and you're doing a sprint type of a thing, like your heart rate should recover very fast. I mean,
yeah, because it's only 30 seconds. Like it wasn't that much of it, so the heart rate does come down from that pretty quickly.
Yeah, man. I love the distance bent that your all of your words have of how it was hard. You're admitting that it was difficult, but it was just so easy and so dumb because it was so short.
We barely did anything. I got to the end of it. Actually, so here's the distance runner version. The problem with this from the distance runner perspective is that's the trouble. As soon as I hit sevens, I'm like, okay, do I do a run workout now? Like when does my workout start? Because I just did this thing, whatever this was, and now I think I need to go for a run.
Yeah, I mean I wouldn't actually describe that as a sprinter's workout, but it's such a good one for quick cardio that gets your leg speed really moving and having to cycle fast,
And adding the incline forces you into an actual sprint.
Yeah.
And so that is what happens. So even though 5:30 pace is not sprinting pace at all, but at the incline, and it is. Right. Your body's behaving exactly the same, So hills are sprint workouts.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
You haven't, because the incline makes you lean forward. You're on your toes. You are doing a sprint workout now, even though the paces are not the same, and your leg turnover is way quicker too.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you sent me a meme a couple weeks ago about like a 2 miler joining in an 800 runners workout. It's like 400s or 800 at pace or something like that. And he was like,
it was a 400 at pace.
400 at pace, and the guy afterwards was like, okay, yeah, so this is the workout, I guess. Like kind of confused by it. And man, I still have it was funny, and I'm like, come on. Because
well, then there was the other one. The one of the guy first 400 meters of running at your mile race pace.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
If you just run 400 meters at your 1 mile race pace, that's the hardest 400 meters you can run.
It's so difficult.
And for some reason you can do 4 of them, but one of them's really hard.
Yeah.
It feels like the hardest thing you can do.
We were doing that. What was that track workout we did recently? The 425 400s, right?
Yeah, 400s, 25 400s.
Because that was the thing. The first couple of those were so hard. Well, I mean, you and I had different experiences for that for obvious weather reasons, but the first 4, even for me, I'm like, oh my gosh, this isn't that fast. I'm only 6-minute mile pace, and I'm dying.
Right.
It feels so difficult to push anything.
It's so funny. Running hard for 1 minute is way harder than running hard for 5 minutes.
Yeah, it is.
Even when I was racing a bunch, back in the day. My 800 meter was faster than my 400 meter. Yeah. Pace-wise,
Okay.
So I could run. I've barely been under 60 seconds for 400. That's as fast as I can move. If I'm going from a stop, it's about I think I've hit 57 seconds, something like that. And my 800 meter pace, I don't remember exact. I think my fastest is 154.
Yeah.
So I can run 800 at a faster pace than I can run a
That
400,
just doesn't
like
make sense.
significantly.
Does it take you a lap to get your momentum going or something?
I think I'm just so slow starting.
Man,
Like I just have no burst
I
of speed at
I
all.
thought I was slow
That it took me a whole
starting.
lap to get up to speed, you know?
The first 400 I ever ran was the first meet in high school that I ever had, and I had never done a 400. You know, this man, my experience in high school track was so unique because I just got thrown into everything that looked like I might be able to do, and so I
Yeah.
got thrown into 400. And my coach said, "Follow." There's like three of us from my high school in this race, and he's like, "Follow this person." He's like, he'll be a very good pace for you. You know, just basically just try to keep up, right? Knowing that he
Yeah.
was the best in our school at the 400, so you're not going to keep up, but do your best. And we took off. We're going, and I think I got to like the middle of the back stretch or something, and I'm like, this
Hmm.
guy's going so slow. Of course, not knowing about a 400 either. But I'm
Right.
like, this kid, I'm gonna go faster, right? I'm gonna blow past this kid. So I went past him,
Yeah.
hit the corner, and did comfortably beat him very well. And coming down,
Mhm.
but you know, in typical 400 fashion, coming down the backstretch, and your legs just all of a sudden don't work anymore, and you're like, I mean,
Right.
you don't know this as a distance runner, but sprinters know this. That you come around that home stretch, and your legs just like you're driving your knees as high as you can, and they're barely making it in front of the other leg, and finished done, just completely done. It messed up my pole vaulting later that day. Got super hurt on my
Hmm.
first meet, but it turned out I was following the wrong kid. I passed the kid, and then the kid I was supposed to keep up with won the race, and I was supposed to like be following him the whole time. I got
Okay.
so confused. I'm like, man, why is this kid going so slow? Like, follow him.
Right.
I don't need to follow this guy.
Yeah. Those darn 400s. That's yeah. And then yeah. So I do experience that. I have had my legs just decide not move anymore, but usually that's 2 miles in. So
Oh man. Well, sometime I'll come over. We'll do a fartlek together. That'll be a fun one. And then we'll do
yeah.
like a real sprint workout, a true one,
Yeah.
and see how it goes.
Sounds
But
good.
I got to wrap it up here, and so we'll
Cool.
chat more later.